Yes. Okay. Good. So in the last class, I think we did spermatogenesis and we talked about sperm in the end, right? So I will just, someone has to give me a brief recap of spermatogenesis and the sperm. That's all. So who will, anyone would like to volunteer? By the way, Matthew, how are you feeling for tonight?
Nervous.
Cool. Okay. Anyways, just something between me and Matthew. Okay, everyone. Let me go to Kulsum. Would you like to give me a brief recap of spermatogenesis and what we studied about sperm? Just the process and things that you, so the picture is in front of you. You can see the screen, right? You can take the help and tell me things. Okay. Whatever you want to tell, just tell me.
Can I take through the flow chart?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Yeah. The spermatogonia, it is present on the seminal tubule, and they multiply by meiotic division.
Yes.
Each spermatogonia, which is diploid, contains 46 chromosomes.
Yes.
And it is called primary spermatocyte.
Yes.
The primary spermatocyte undergoes meiosis, and it completes the first meiotic division and results in equal haploid cells. They are called the secondary spermatocytes and have 23 chromosomes.
Yes.
And
instead of saying 23 and 46, because see, I appreciate that you know this because we are doing human, but the same process of oogenesis holds true for spermatogenesis holds true for every animal that produces sperm. So a more safer way for both your boards and exams, if you forget the number of chromosomes, then you say it's either diploid, which is 2n, or haploid, which is n. That will suffice. Okay. Yes.
The secondary spermatocyte undergoes the second meiotic division to produce 4 equal haploid spermatids.
Yes.
Right. The spermatids then transform into the sperms or the spermatozoa through the spermatogenesis. And after the spermatogenesis, the sperm heads embed in the Sertoli cells. Is that right? The Sertoli cells, right?
It's actually Sertoli cells are all through. So many books write this one line that after they become spermatids, they get embedded in the Sertoli cells. That thing is yet still under research. Like what? So basically, I told you that Sertoli cells always provide for nutrition, and they even push. You remember they push the spermatids and sperms down into the lumen. Remember, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So saying that only when it becomes spermatids, then it embeds its head into the Sertoli cells. It does come into contact with Sertoli cells with greater affinity because now it has to undergo spermiation and then spermiogenesis. But always remember that Sertoli cells are always there, right from the spermatogonium stage. Okay, Kulsum?
Okay, sir. I got it.
Yes. Yeah.
The sperm heads, then they are released from the seminiferous tubule by the process spermiation.
Yes.
And then there is the hormone regulation.
Yes. Come. What about it? Tell me.
There are 2 gonadotrophins, the luteinizing hormone LH and FSH. The LH acts at Leydig cells and it stimulates and synthesizes the secretion of androgens. And the androgens stimulates the process of spermatogenesis.
Yes, so that androgen, see, androgen is a name which is ambiguous. So when you say androgen, you are not specifically telling which androgen is the most important player. So testosterone, the word andro is always related to males, remember? Now
yes,
you all must be coming into a zone of understanding biology with me, like me. So it becomes easier. So we know that androgens are something male specific hormones, but the major player here is testosterone. Okay. So if you write the term androgen and do not write the term testosterone for maintaining spermatogenesis and secondary sexual characters, the examiner, if the checker if not in a good mood, can deduct your marks. So you would not like that to happen. So if you are writing the term androgens, you also have to write specifically testosterone being the major player. Okay.
But sir, isn't that what given in the textbook?
Yes, it is given in the textbook, but if they ask you, they also talk about testosterone in the textbook. So if whatever secondary sexual characters that happen during puberty, even maintenance of spermatogenesis. So androgens is not just one hormone, but the one hormone which is the most important among that androgens is testosterone. Okay. Is it clear? So it's given that Leydig cells in your NCERT, the line which is given is that Leydig cells secretes androgens, right? But Leydig cells secretes the hormone which is secreted in the most amount is testosterone from those Leydig cells. Is it clear?
Okay, sir.
Okay, perfect.
And the FSH stimulates the production of testosterone.
LH stimulates the production of testosterone.
Okay.
And FSH initiates spermatogenesis.
Okay, initiates
see, it's there on your board. If there is any confusion, that's why I just made this arrow up for FSH and this arrow down for LH. Okay. See, you can remember it. I will give you a crack for this. So remember always, it is very easy to remember for females because basically these hormones, the name makes more sense in a female system. But that's why in the beginning only I told you that male system is a non-default state of female system. So remember FSH, the full name is follicle stimulating hormone. Yes. And where are follicles in females? In the ovaries. Follicles basically contains the oocyte. Okay, we will come to it today, but the word follicle is for primary follicle, secondary follicle, and Graafian follicle. If this part is done in your school, you must be remembering that Graafian follicle contains the oocyte, the ovum. If not, then we will do it today. Don't worry. So the follicle stimulating hormone there is responsible for stimulating the follicle, which means to stimulate the gamete. So FSH in males also will stimulate gamete, initiate the gamete formation, which is spermatogenesis. Okay, is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay, continue.
Then is the structure of the sperm. The sperm contains a head, a neck, a middle piece, and a tail. The head has an haploid nucleus, and it is covered by acrosome, which is cap-like structure. It is filled with enzymes which help in fertilization of the ovum. And the middle piece has mitochondria that produces energy for movement of the tail, and it moves in a whiplash motion.
Yes, and along with like the enzymes which help in, so there are many enzymes in acrosome. Okay, I told you that just like a pollen pistil interaction, there is a sperm and egg oocyte interaction where they both recognize each other. For that also there are enzymes in acrosome, but the most important enzymes that work the first is the hydrolytic enzymes that basically break down the covering, the layer around the ovum, okay, and make the sperm reach the membrane so that in order to fertilize the ovum. So once it reaches the membrane, before that also that membrane has layers which are protecting that ovum, which is called zona pellucida, which is given, this word is in NCERT, zona pellucida and corona radiata. All these terms are there about which we will study when we will come to ovum. But remember that hydrolytic enzymes are also most important ones. So these are some things which the details are important for your entrances. And even in your boards, even if your concepts are clear, you write the answer clearly, stating things, then you will get marks. But it's good to include these words, okay, because they will make your answer more technical and no loophole will be there for any examiner to reduce any marks. Okay. Yes, continue. Also.
Then we talk about how humans are heterogametic. The sperm is known as the microgamete and the ovum is the megagamete.
Yes, right. And I ask you to go and read male reproductive system from NCERT. Did you do that, all of you?
Yes.
So you must, if you all have done it, you must have realized that NCERT writes thing in like paragraphs, right? There is no, it's like a story which starts and there's a paragraph for male reproductive system. And in that paragraph, they also tell you like with some highlighting bold things about various ducts and glands present in the reproductive system, about which we also have not studied, but we have discussed, like these glands. So there are 3 glands important: seminal vesicle, prostate, and bulbourethral gland. Okay. And there are many ducts associated with the male system. So they have talked about all these glands and ducts, probably somewhere in 1 liner, somewhere in 2 liners, but we have to do it. So let's do in a more elaborate manner the ducts and glands. So write down. Let's start today's topic. So let's start with the ducts. Sorry, let's start with the glands first. Glands of male reproductive system. And before I forget, let me just tell you this thing because it came to my head. So tomorrow will be your test, and this will be a subjective test specifically focused for your board examinations and your in-school examinations this week. So what we will be doing is you will join the class, and the test will be in class. So I will teach you for half of the class, then there will be a half-an-hour test. It will be subjective, small questions like 1 marker and 2 marker, no big questions will be asked. And you have to do it in the class, finish it, and then we will discuss the paper. Okay, and I'll include some previous year's questions, what have been come from this topic, and some more questions from my side.
What chapter?
Yes, so the chapter will be sexual reproduction in flowering plants, the complete chapter 2, and chapter 3 till where we will complete today. Whatever we will end with today, that's till there. Okay. Like I will quiz you from that part only. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let's start with the glands. Now, why do you think there are glands associated? Why are there glands in the reproductive system? And let's see their positioning. So they are positioned like this. So this is the testis, the site for spermatogenesis. And from the testis, when sperms are produced, they go to epididymis and then vas deferens, and the moment they start coming towards the urethra, which is the common duct, they have to go through a series of glands. First is seminal vesicle, second is prostate, and third is bulbourethral in series. So anyone, any idea what the glands must be doing there? If they are glands, they are secreting something, right? That's obvious. But what? Yes, please. Someone said something. What do you think glands must be doing there? Yes, Mehraj.
Sir, they secrete stuff necessary for the survival of the sperms.
Yes, right. So sperms are very, very fragile cells. They are gametes, but human sperms are very, very fragile gametes. They can just die with very small manipulation or interference in their immediate surrounding. For example, they cannot sustain acidity. They die in acidic environment. So they need to be present in an alkaline environment. And because I told you, the urethra is a common passage for both urine and sperms, correct? In males?
Yes.
Now, with this kind of a setup in biology, see, whenever you study biology, always ask yourself that, is this setup making sense to you? So this setup is not making sense if you do not help it, because urine, we all know that it's acidic in nature, right? Urine is a waste substance where we excrete out filtered things, wastes from the kidneys. And most of the times these are nitrogenous wastes, and which makes the urine acidic, correct? So, and we urinate, like human males urinate multiple times a day. So most of the time, the urethral lining, what would be the pH of the urethral lining? The inner lining?
Acidic.
It will be
More
acidic.
than
Sir, 2.3.
less
Yes.
than 7.
It will, yes, of course, it will be less than 7. It will not be around 2. Someone said 2 or something?
Someone said 2.3.
Yes, so it cannot go below 5. If it goes below 5, that is a very big problem for the lining, because the lining starts dying. Okay, because because 2 is a very, very strong corrosive acid. If something has a pH 2, it is a very strong and corrosive acid. Acids with pH around 1 and 2 are only present in our stomach. And why can stomach sustain it? Clear. Class 11 digestive system. Quick.
Because of mucus.
It has a very thick
Mucus
lining. Yes, it has a very thick mucus lining, so it can sustain it. But if we come to our bladder, urinary bladder, and the urethral lining, they cannot sustain pH, which is around 2 or 3. So it will be, of course, less than 7, around 6 point something, probably, or if under very dehydrated conditions, it can go towards lower range of 6 and 5 point something, but not less than that. But it's clear that it is acidic, and it is enough to kill sperms. So sperms cannot survive acidic environment at all. They have some tolerance, but not much. So these glands actually help, because humans urinate multiple times, and the urge to ejaculate will only come under sexual drive. You all are clear about sexual drive, right? And the heat period. So when this urge will come to ejaculate, there is a, let me first tell you the biology. What is the logic? So there is a point in Vas Deferens. There is a point till it reaches seminal vesicle. There is a point till where the sperms are contained, they are not under the urge of ejaculation. But there is a duct called ejaculatory duct, which is a very short duct at the junction of seminal vesicle and Vas Deferens. If sperms reaches that point, then there is no point of return from there, and it will ejaculate. That is called the male orgasm. Now, long before that, when human males start getting into a sexual drive, these glands become active and they start preparing the pathway for a sperm. Okay, they start making this urethral lining alkaline from their secretions. So they change it from acidic to alkaline. And that's why when you have committed to the act of ejaculation, when males ejaculate, at that particular point, they cannot urinate. So the urge to urinate, maturation, is actually, the urge to ejaculate is actually very dominant over the urge to urinate. So it blocks the urinary outflow. Is it clear? Because they have just invested a lot of secretions and a lot of energy in this process. They cannot just let both of them mix and the sperms die. This is a waste of all the energy that body invested in making the sperms. So that's why when at one point of time, either a human male can ejaculate or can urinate. It cannot happen at the same time, even if there is a common passage for both. Is it clear? Yes, people?
Yes.
The biology is clear? Okay, so write down about the glands of the reproductive system. Write down there are 3 glands associated with the reproductive system. The first one is seminal vesicles. Seminal vesicle. Now this is the most important gland from the point of view of the secretion. So write down seminal vesicles contributes, seminal vesicle contributes to around 60% of the total secretion. Total secretion from all the glands combined. Because the secretions from all the gland combined is known as semen. So semen is the fluid in which sperms are present. And when they are present in this fluid is alkaline and it has all the factors important to enhance the motility and viability of the sperms. So it is like a heaven kind of environment for sperms where they are protected. They have everything that they need for their nutrition. They have fructose. They have all the required factors for moving and doing whiplash motion, etc. So that's called semen. Semen is that fluid, and seminal vesicle is the major contributor for that, the semen. So it contributes around 60% of the total secretion. Now write down where is it present? Where is the gland present? Where is seminal vesicle present?
inside the testis.
No, no gland is present inside the testis. Testis itself act as a gland. The Leydig cells secrete. If you write inside the testis, it will be a blunder. I just showed you above. Let's come back to this structure. This is where understanding it through the structure is important. Look here. This is the testis. It's not even in. So this is where seminal vesicles are present. And why NCERT has showed you this figure also, I think it becomes important. See, this is the urinary bladder. Everyone can see my cursor? Say yes.
Yes.
Anatomy is very important. Can you see that behind the urinary bladder towards the posterior end is your seminal vesicle? Can you see this? So if you see it from front, you will not see seminal vesicle. But for the sake of showing you the position, they have drawn urinary bladder and shown you seminal vesicles in front. But you know where it is. It is at the level of urinary bladder. It is way outside the testis. It is in the abdomen. All the glands are in the abdomen. This bulbourethral gland is at the root of the penis. I told you about the root, the shaft, and the head of the penis. Yes.
Yes.
So it's bulbourethral gland is from where urethra starts. So it's at the root, but all of them are in the abdominal cavity majorly. Okay, so write down seminal vesicle is a pair. So it's one pair and is present posterior to the urinary bladder. Posterior to the urinary bladder. Okay. And there is a duct which comes out from seminal vesicles. So there is a word in your textbook which is ejaculatory duct, but ejaculatory duct is the duct which is formed by the union of Vas Deferens and the duct from the seminal vesicles. So write down each seminal vesicle, I'll also write it with you. Each seminal vesicle has a duct, a short duct. Has a short duct that joins with vas deferens. That joins with vas deferens to form ejaculatory duct. So this was a question in NEET once, that which gland is associated with forming of ejaculatory duct. Okay, so which will be the gland? Seminal vesicle. Is it clear? There will be all the options: testis, seminal vesicles, bulbourethral, prostate. So it's seminal vesicles. So short duct plus vas deferens makes ejaculatory duct. I will tell you about ducts also in detail. I think this way it becomes easier to remember. Then write down what does it secretes. That is important. So secretion. As I told you, this is the most important gland. So write down, it secretes a viscous fluid. It secretes, so its secretion is viscous. You know what is viscous, everyone?
Yes, sir.
It's like thick, which is sticky as well. So it's viscous fluid, which contains, first thing is fructose. And why does it contain fructose?
Because it's required for the sperm.
To do what?
So,
Sorry. What does sperm do with fructose?
The motility, the movement.
No, yes, eventually it has to do motility. So anything can be, so if sperm has one function, which is to be in a race, win the race, reach the ovum, fertilize the ovum. So it has just one function, to constantly keep running. Okay. But every component can be, drawn back and can be associated with its motility. But remember glucose? Anyone remembers glucose from class 11th?
Yes, sir.
What do you remember about it, Matthew? What?
It helps. It's like the main source of respiration.
It's the main source of energy for each and every cell of our body. Because during respiration, each and every cell of our body breaks down glucose under the process called glycolysis, where the cell uses oxygen to do oxidative breakdown of glucose to produce energy. Okay, do not forget class 11. That's very, very important. But the interesting thing about sperms is they do not utilize glucose. They utilize fructose instead. Okay, so write down fructose is the main source of energy for sperms. So they break down fructose. Yes, any question? And in fact, sperms are the only cells in our body that can utilize fructose directly from to produce energy, that rely on fructose. Rest all our cells rely on glucose. Even if there is fructose in our body, we change it into glucose first to use it in the process of respiration. Is it clear? Is it clear, everyone? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Sir.
First thing it contains is fructose. Write down. Second thing, prostaglandins. Second thing that seminal vesicle secretes is this, prostaglandins. This word is not there in NCERT, but what it does is written in one line, so you should know it. Now, these are the important chemicals which contribute to motility and viability. So you will see in NCERT written that secretions of seminal vesicles enhance the motility and viability of the sperms. But how? Through this. So write down. They enhance the motility and viability. Now, these two are different terms. What do we mean by motility and what do we mean by viability? Quickly. Anyone? What is motility? First, tell me.
E is movement,
Yes. And what is viability?
and like how long can they live up to? I don't know how to say it.
Yes, but
Survival.
yes. So I think you both are beating around the bush, but I understood that you understood what it means. Viability means that for how long or how efficiently you are available to fertilize the ovum. Motility, good motility is one factor which will affect viability. Okay. But for example, there are many factors for viability. For example, if I take acrosome out of a sperm, let's imagine that scenario. But that sperm is, everything else in the sperm is very, very, very healthy, but there is no acrosome on the head. So that sperm will be very motile, right? Maybe probably it will win the race and reach the sperm first, but will it be able to fertilize the sperm?
No.
Oh, sorry, will it be able to fertilize the ovum?
No.
So in this case, sperm is very motile but not viable because it lost an important component required to do this process. Secondly, if sperms are not motile, then also they are not viable, right?
Sir, but viability is more important.
Viability is more important, but in natural scenario, motility is equally important because see, if your sperms are not, by your, I mean, like when I say the word your, I have a very bad habit of using us and your and me and he or she. Okay, don't take it on yourself in biology, even though it's happening inside all of us. But if a sperm is very motile and viable, it's the best scenario in nature because Arpit said viability is more important, probably because even if a sperm is not good with motility, we can take that sperm outside and we can, I inject that sperm nucleus into a ovum, it will be fertilizing that ovum, right?
Yes.
Yes. Or if I keep that sperm in a close vicinity with the ovum, it will fertilize the ovum. It will take some time to figure out, but it will do that. But when that sperm is in a competition with 30 million more counterparts, then viability, motility becomes equally important, doesn't it, Arpit?
Yes, sir.
And when we are studying biology, we have to study both the natural and the artificial aspect of it. So write down, written, prostaglandins enhance motility and viability.
Yes, sir.
Yes. There are many gametes which are not motile but still viable. So that's the difference. Like pollen grains. Are pollen grains motile? Can they move? No, but they are viable, right? They can fertilize. So they have to be transferred by some other ways. So that's the difference. Third thing that seminal vesicles secrete, write down, is coagulation proteins. Coagulatory proteins or coagulation proteins. So this part is not an NCRT, but is important. You should know, like it's the third thing. So I just do not want to skip this. Coagulation proteins are simply in very, like, I will not spend much time on this. These are proteins which help after ejaculation, when the semen, along with this, all the fluid and sperms, when it reaches into the female tract, after ejaculation, it starts becoming little thick. It starts coagulating. Like from milk, when curd is made, the milk starts to coagulate, right? And becomes more thicker and more denser. Do you understand? So post ejaculation, semen becomes more coagulated. And why it becomes more coagulated? So that the external factors do not affect the sperms much. So it's like a defense technique. Do you understand, everyone?
Sir, how it is a difference?
Yes. Have you ever seen birds flying in flocks? Thousands
Yes,
of
sir.
birds flying together in flocks. So why don't,
Thousands, but yes.
yeah, but I mean hundreds, like,
Yes,
but
sir.
many birds flying in flocks. So what does the flock, what does that flock provides them with? It is very dense. What is the benefit of flying in a very densely populated manner? Same thing you will see with many fish, which are small fish on which main sharks and predatory fish, they predate. So these small fish always live in groups, right?
Yes, sir.
What is the advantage of staying in group?
Protection.
Yeah, that is what Arpit asked. How? How does staying together, becoming dense provides protection?
Because more can fight with less.
They never fight. If you see, small fish never fight with the big fish. They just dodge. They just try to dodge the big fish. So when they are together, it becomes easier to avoid predators. If a predator is approaching, it's easier to confuse the predator. Like just divide into two. The predator will just, in the moment, it will decide which group to now follow. By that time, you are out. You are already in the safe zone. You understand? There are very beautiful, good videos of big fish coming, and you will see from air. These videos are taken where you can see a flock of small fish, a bunch of small fish, and then a big fish comes, and then they just make way for the big fish. Wherever the big fish goes, they just make way. So the big fish is not able to catch many of these fish. But here there is no predator in case of sperms. But what happens is the environment is very hostile in a female tract. So in female tract, there are lots and lots of immune cells which are ready to just take whatever is outside. And sperm, let me tell you, sperm is a foreign material in a female's body, right? So sperm is not going to be welcomed, you know, with a red carpet and garlands. No. It's like a foreign material coming into the body. So it might cause infection. So the female body tries to resist and kill it. And that's the test. That's like where the part of Khatron Ke Khiladi comes, where each and every sperm has to go through all that thing and then reach the ovum. And then it deserves to get fertilized and be born as a human. So technically, like Albert Einstein said this, that whoever is born is actually a champion. Because we did win to get born, didn't we? So the female system is very, very hostile, and there are many immune cells that are there to kill. There are many inside the female tract. There are many finger-like projections called just like you have in your intestines. You understand? Did you read about villi in class 11?
Yes,
finger
sir,
like
yes, sir.
projections.
So similar finger-like projections are there, but now this time not to increase the surface area, but to trap. So any sperm which gets trapped in these things gets killed. So it's not like just a simple road and a marathon that sperms have to run. They have to run a hurdle marathon with something coming from the wall and taking it. So lots and lots of sperms are getting killed. So if you are densely together, and if your surrounding, which is the fluid you are in, is more dense, then it's difficult to pull out or kill sperms in that jelly-like fluid. So it starts coagulating a little bit. Just because Arpit asked, we discussed this. So write down coagulation proteins. It causes slight coagulation reaction in the semen. It causes slight coagulation reaction in the semen after ejaculation. Of course, it will not do it before ejaculation. Otherwise, it will coagulate in the male system itself and can choke the male system. So it works only after. There are many fluids like this in our body. Blood is the best example. You know, blood clots the moment it comes into contact with the air.
Yes,
It
sir.
starts clotting,
sir.
but it never clots when it is running inside our veins, right? So there are clotting factors that activate when the blood is outside the vein, outside the blood vessels. So it starts clotting. Same thing happens even if it is inside the body, but outside the blood vessels, it clots. So have you heard of the term called internal clotting, internal bleeding, brain hemorrhage?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Other organ
Yes.
hemorrhages. So if when you will become doctors, you will realize that blood always has to be contained within the system, in the blood circulatory system and within the heart. When it comes out of it, and whether it gets deposited somewhere in the interstitial tissue or somewhere between the organ spaces, if it gets accumulated somewhere in the head or the brain, it clots, and that causes a problem. That creates a lot of problem.
Sir,
Yes, Arpit.
sir, blood also contains the same protein.
No. The proteins are different, but it's like they are also called coagulation proteins or clotting factors, but they are not all the same. Sperms do not clot like blood. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Now let's come to the second part, which is second gland, which is prostate gland. Prostate gland. Now write down about prostate. It is located inferior to the urinary bladder, just below the urinary bladder. Inferior to the urinary bladder or below the urinary bladder. You can let me know. Sometimes I use technical terms because you know that has become a habit, but there is an easy term for everything. Even if I write below, it's the same thing. It will not cause any harm. And it is just one single gland. It is not in pair. It is the only gland which is one single gland. So, and secretion, it's a single gland, and its secretion is, for every gland, the secretion is important. Write down, it secretes a thin alkaline, and milky colored fluid. Milky colored. So it's not as viscous as of the seminal vesicles. It is thin, it's alkaline. The most important part is this, that it's alkaline and it's milky colored fluid. And the function is it contains factors that enhances motility and viability. And second thing is it contributes to the alkaline nature of the semen. So it contributes. Yes, Arpit.
Sir, there is some disease like prostate. Sir, what is that basically?
Prostate is not a disease.
Sir, it
Prostate,
is something like that. I don't know exactly, but yes, I
the
heard
most very prevalent and common forms of cancer in males is prostate cancer. If you're talking about that, because prostate is a gland and it's very like it's not like all the cancers in males are prostate cancers, but if you make which is the most prevalent one, it is the prostate cancer.
It basically happens in old age. Like I don't know.
Yeah, it can happen in mid-age as well. cancers, anyways, if it is not a age related, so all the cancers right now are not age related. Earlier, cancers used to happen in old ages. Every disease now, you are not able to categorize diseases, and doctors are finding it very difficult to categorize diseases on the basis of age these days, because our lifestyles has contributed to it a lot. People used to believe that blood pressure, diabetes, they are all old age diseases, right?
Yes,
When
sir.
system gets weak and old, but you will find humans born genetically with diabetes. There's something called congenital diabetes. There's something called obesity is like a lifestyle disease now. Even like kids are getting obese, and because of the obesity, there is lots of pressure on their heart. So they either suffer from high blood pressure because these fat, they deposit around the blood vessels in the skin. And if they deposit around the major organs, what they will do? They will put pressure on the organs, right? Yes or no? If a heart has a lot of fat, the heart will find it difficult to beat, isn't it? It's like you doing squats with 10 kg, 20 kg on your shoulder. Is it easier to do squats with weights?
No, sir.
No.
No. So heart also finds it difficult to, beat over time. And if someone is obese for a very long time in the life because of lifestyle issues, then the heart may get problems. Heart problems can arise very early in life, even during the teenagers or during the 20s. So it's not like cancers are any different from that. Smoking causes cancer, like not causes all the time, but increases the risk of it. Lifestyle, exposure to chemicals, exposure to UV radiation, and a lot of things can cause cancer. Okay. Yes. So let's come to the third gland. Write down bulbourethral glands. But you can just know this for a fact that prostate glands cancer is very common in males. Can you quickly guess in females, which is the most prevalent cancer in females?
Breast cancer.
Breast cancer.
Yes. Do you know, just like to give you a out edge on cancers, there is a very famous gene which is responsible for cancer in humans. You know what it is known as? It's known as BRCA1. And this stands for breast cancer 1. There's 2 also and 3 also, but it was first identified in breast cancer. So it's named as BRCA1. It does not mean that male does not have it, or in other cancers, this gene is not responsible. It's just like when we find something in some organism or in some system, we name it accordingly. For example, you know about monkeypox, that's becoming one major problem. I think Middle East also has one confirmed case of monkeypox, right?
Yes, sir, in the UAE.
The UAE. And
Yes, sir.
monkeypox is nothing but a close cousin of smallpox and a distant cousin of chickenpox. Not very distant though, but it was first found in monkeys. So they named it monkeypox. It's not like it causes pox in monkeys, or when it causes pox in human, they become monkeys. Nothing like that. It's just like it was first discovered in monkeys, so called as monkeypox. Okay, it's basically a virus, which just like a smallpox. Okay, let's come to the third gland. Yes, please, Fatima.
Why is breast cancer most common in females?
Why can have a lot of answers, and all the answers even I am not aware of, because a lot of things are under research. But one thing is because, see, if you see the top 5 cancers which can happen, blood cancer is very common both in male and females, right? Leukemia, it is called.
Yes.
Then you have skin cancer. Those who misuse or smoke a lot or misuse some inhaling drugs can have lung cancer. Apart from that, you can have colon, like stomach cancer. Stomach cancers happens because when stomach lining does not produces enough mucus, it constantly keeps eroding and becoming irritating. And then the cells, sometimes become cancerous. So cancer can happen anywhere. So this is just the data. Why? Is because all females do have functional mammary glands, and when they are functional, they can also have the risk of something getting disordered. Now males do not have a functional mammary gland, so that same with prostate. Males have a functional prostate glands, females do not have a prostate gland. So that could be one very obvious reason, which I can explain in few minutes. But there are many other factors. There are many genetical susceptibilities. When I will teach you genetics, I will teach you a lot of interesting things, how our body actually is just following commands from a very small nucleus sitting inside a cell and telling us to do everything. Even our behaviors are to some extent genetically regulated. You know, there are something called innate fear, something very interesting. Can we just spend 2-3 minutes on this?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
There is something called innate behaviors. For example, when a zebra baby or a deer baby is born in the wild, it's born for the first time, right? Yes.
Yeah.
And the moment it sees or smells a predator like a lion or a tiger or a jaguar, it starts running. Who teaches the baby to run from a predator or to even recognize this thing as a predator? The mother did not get so, and these babies can start running right after like half an hour to 45 minutes after birth. So they do not require much of their mother's care. Human babies are the most vulnerable of the babies because there is a cost we have to pay in biology. See, either in biology, you can become good at survival or you can become multifunctional and very smart and intelligent. So human brain, when it is born, our brain is not consolidated. It is not fully developed. A human baby knows nothing apart from the innate fears. Humans also have some innate fears, like the fear to fall. Anyone who's falling gets afraid, right? Even you will remember experience this in dreams. Even if in your dreams you are falling somewhere, you might sometimes just wake up with that fear of falling.
Yes.
You feel like you are falling when actually you are on bed, on a substrate, on a rigid surface. You are not falling. But how does your brain gets trigged that you are falling? And then you wake up and you are like, okay, I was not falling, I was on bed. So fear of falling is one thing. But human babies have very, very less developed brains. And that is what everything around you is being exploited in the name of science. All the drinks, these nutritional drinks which come, Bonvita, Horlicks, Boost, all these things, they often tell you that it contains one thing called DHA, which helps in the brain development of a child. So it's very important to give it to the child, right?
Yes.
You have heard these kind of marketing strategies?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Because they know that it's true. For the first 5 years of the life, the brain is developing the most crucial things. And even brain keeps consolidating for the first 15-20 years of the life. You keep learning, you keep strengthening certain things, certain memories in your brain. But kids, babies of animals which are born in the wild, they come with a consolidated brain. So if something is already consolidated, for example, we come with a brain which is like a wet soil, like a wet mud. What these potters use, clay, a wet clay. So a wet clay is still malleable. You can make any shape from that clay, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Whatever you want, you can make it. But the disadvantage is that wet clay is not of very use. If I give you a wet clay and you have a requirement to store water, you cannot directly store water in the wet clay. You have to first make a pot out of it in the shape which can hold water. Then you have to dry it. Once it is dried, then you can start using it, right?
Yes, sir.
But you can, if 5 people have 5 different uses, one wants to store water, other wants to store something else, other wants to make something, you can make anything from that wet clay. You understand? That is the human brain. Everyone understood?
Yes, sir.
We are like wet clay, not strengthened, not consolidated. But if I give you a pot, a water pot, then what could be the only use? To store water,
Just
right?
to store water.
Yeah.
You cannot change it after it's given to you. So that is like the animal's brain. When they are born with certain hard wiring that is done. So there is innate behavior, lot of innate behavior that helps them to survive in wild. But they cannot, if a zebra baby starts thinking that, okay, enough of a zebra life, let me go to a university and learn certain things and become the most educated zebra in the jungle. It cannot do that because the brain will not allow. The zebra's brain will not allow them to learn something which they do not already
Excuse
know
me.
from the birth. Yes, Arpit, please.
So, sir, zebras can't learn something new.
They
Like,
cannot
if
learn
we-
language. They cannot learn
No.
art and craft. Yes.
If we tame them, like,
They can learn. So learning is of 2 types. One is voluntary and one is like reinforced. So if you enforce a zebra, that is called a treat versus punishment thing. That way you can make anyone learn anything. So if you do not walk on this rope, I will start giving you electric shocks. When you will start walking on the rope, I will give you food. So you will learn over time. For that learning, you do not need education. You do not need anything else, any part of your brain to like get artistically evolved. You understand?
Yes, yes.
When human babies are born, we do not know mathematics, language, anything, right? We learn
Yes.
everything. So that's like something given to us because our brains still have that capability to that plasticity, which we can tweak with. Animals do not have that plasticity. So it's all about plasticity of the brain. That's interesting. Why did we reach here basically? Genetics, right? So every behavior is also hardwired. You know, there is an experiment, very interesting. This was the part for which I did this discussion. If you keep, you know, mouse are afraid of cats and their smell, their odor, and even foxes because they are their natural predators in wild. Yes.
So yes, sir.
But if I'm breeding a mouse generation in a lab where from generation 1 to generation 1000, all the mouse never saw a cat, not in their life, but thousands of generation have never seen a cat, never been around a cat, never smelled a cat, never has like interacted with a cat. But even after that 1000 generation, if you will soak a cotton in cat's urine. You know, cat's urine has a smell, right? Or if you take cat hair and put it in the cage where that mouse is, that mouse will show fear behavior. Isn't it interesting?
Even after like
Even after thousands of generation where there was no interaction, they never forget somehow that cat is an enemy, is a natural predator. That's interesting. So this cannot be just about learning and memory. It has more molecular genetic reason for it. And that is what genetics, even so if I give the same problem to 5 people will try to do it, solve it differently. All that behavior, whether you are more like a explorer or you are more like a settler. So some people would like to explore things. If I send them to a new city, they will like, okay, I will explore every part of the city. Some people are like, no. What is the point of exploring things? You know, just Netflix and chill. These are all behaviors, right, that we show to any environment. And every behavior has a reason, inherent reason, which is lying very deep inside our cells. That we will study in genetics. Now, quickly, let's come to the third gland. Was it interesting, the discussion?
Very interesting.
Yeah, so that's why
Yes,
I
sir.
love biology and those who pursue biology for research and higher educations, they just fall in love with the subject. They get married to the subject over time because of the same reason. Biology has answers to questions which we actually are interested in asking about ourselves. Okay, write down bulbourethral gland. Now this gland, its name tells you about two things. Bulbo means it's bulb shaped, they are small, bulb-like, and urethral means they are present at the urethral beginning. So bulbourethral gland, write down, they are present at the base of the penis, root or base. They are present at the base of penis, and they are a pair, two small bulbs. And some books also write them as Cooper's gland. Okay, by the name of the one who discovered. So sometime you will find in exams or entrance, what is Cooper's gland? Which gland is also known as Cooper's gland? So even if this term is not in your NCERT, you should know this because bulbourethral gland's other name is Cooper's gland. Okay, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now write down what it is. The most important thing about bulbourethral gland, which has been asked, is this is the first gland that responds to sexual stimulation. Okay, so write down. In response to sexual stimulation, they respond. In response to sexual stimulation, these glands secrete an alkaline mucus like fluid. Okay, it's alkaline and it's mucus like. Now clearly you can understand, and this is the gland which is at the base of penis from where urethra begins, and this is the gland which responds to the sexual stimulation. So this is the first gland that secretes and makes the lining more alkaline. And what does mucus do? What is the role of mucus anywhere in our body
Protection.
apart from that?
Sir, to provide smooth lubrication.
Yes, lubrication. Mucus is slippery. Okay, protection is, yes, protection is there, but if you'll see, like, it's always, it's in our nasal cavity, it's in our buccal cavity, it's in the food pipe, just to, so that it becomes easier for you to swallow the food. It's also inside the intestine so that the peristaltic movement can effectively push things out. It's also there in the large intestine, the rectum, everywhere. Okay, so write down this helps to neutralize the acidity. So the alkaline part helps, the function is to neutralize the acidity in the urethra, and also in the female tract, because the secretion will also be a part of semen, right? So this alkaline secretion along with this alkaline secretion from the prostate together will act in the female tract as well. So it will neutralize the acidity in the urethra and also in the female tract, and provides, second point, provides lubrication. For the penis, for intercourse, penis for intercourse. Okay, so when it is neutralizing the acidity, it is actually protecting the sperms. When it is lubricating the penis, it is making the process of copulation easier. Yes, someone has a question. Zersh, the head. Okay, Zersh has a question. The head of the epididymis and the head of the testis is called. Okay, we'll come to it. After this, we're going to glands. So we will study about testis and epididymis. Okay, we're talking about caput cauda. Zersh, can you speak, or you have some issues with the microphone? You will write only. Okay, I think
this question was there in the assignment.
Okay, yes, okay. We'll discuss this also. So is this clear? The third gland is clear? At the end, write down one thing, which is semen. What is the full name of semen? Oh, why is it not going down? It's going down. Yes, write down semen, or also known as seminal fluid. So sometimes students do get confused that seminal fluid is the fluid secreted from seminal vesicles. It's not the case. Seminal fluid is the overall fluid secreted, which consists of secretion from all the three glands, and it also contains sperms in it. Okay, everyone?
Yes, sir.
So write down, it is the fluid that is ejaculated from the male system which contains sperms. It contains sperms, and you already know around 60% of it is contributed by seminal vesicle, and the rest 30 to 35% comes from prostate, and very like just 5 to 7% comes from the bulbourethral, if it is asked, just to let you know. Okay, and it is alkaline, of course. Now let's come to the ducts. Glands are done.
Can you tell the sir? Can you tell the percentage of each gland? That
Yes,
is-
yes. 60% is seminal vesicles that contributes in semen. 60% is seminal vesicle. In the rest 40, around 30 to 35% comes from prostate, and then 5 to 10% comes from bulbourethral. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now let's come to ducts of male reproductive system. Now, most of these ducts are in the testes. Many of them, for example, seminiferous tubule is a duct about which I have already I have taught you. It is the site of spermatogenesis. Remember? After seminiferous tubules come rete testis. Rete testis, again, it's like a junction. If I go up to show you this, yes, look here. So you see that there are many seminiferous tubules, which is shown here. Then they form this network called rete testis, which goes through vasa efferentia into the epididymis. Okay, is it clear? So till vasa efferentia, the function is not, there is no, the function is transporting, like providing a pathway. So this is the place where they are formed. Then they move into this network, which collects from all the lobules. And this network sends it into vasa efferentia, which is highly coiled structure. I have also drawn this coiling, I think. And then it reaches epididymis. So this is the first major duct that we will study about. Write down epididymis. Yes, there is a question. Yes, Arpit. It will be of 2 hours. Okay. Is there any issue, Arpit?
Sir, is it from tomorrow or today?
It's from this. So in this week, this batch will have today and tomorrow the class. Then you will have class with me in the next week, right? Was it conveyed to you that it is from tomorrow? Like
No,
anything?
sir, I thought you said in the starting that it is from the, like,
No, tomorrow you have a test. Today I'll just complete whatever I can. Okay. So let's come to epididymis. Write down epididymis, and we'll also come to the question that who asked? Zersh asked. Yes. Oh, sorry, it's a female part. Write down epididymis. Let me take this part down. First thing, write down. It's a crescent shaped or comma shaped organ, as you know. Sometimes epididymis is a crescent or comma shaped organ.
So what are you making us write?
Sorry?
Sir, what are you making us write? So what are you dictating?
The ducts, the first duct that I'm dictating is epididymis. Important ducts. They can ask you questions. So all these things are in your NCERT, but not explained properly. So that's why I would like to write this in a section-wise manner. So write down, it is comma shaped or crescent shaped organ. It sits at the, so if this fist of mine is a testis, then this duct just sits on the top of it like a crescent, like this. Okay. And write down, epididymis is the site of, epididymis is the site, this is the most important point. It is the site of functional maturity for the sperms. Have we discussed in the last class what is the difference between functional maturity and structural maturity? Because we all, in NCERT it's written that spermatids mature into sperms in seminiferous tubules, right? So inside seminiferous tubules, they get mature. And by reading that statement, we think that now it is a mature sperm. It is very good to go with motility and it is very happy and That's not the case. The maturity that a sperm attains in seminiferous tubule is structural maturity. It has all the structures required, but even those structures needs to be trained or made functional. So the viability, the motility part, that maturity comes in epididymis. Do you understand this? If you read NCERT very clearly, you will understand that what is the function of epididymis. And on the basis of this, there is a question that has been asked that if we take sperm directly from seminiferous tubule, a mature sperm from seminiferous tubule, and a sperm which is from Vas Deferens, how will the two sperms be different? Any idea? What is the difference between a sperm which I have directly taken from seminiferous tubule and another sperm which I have taken from Vas Deferens? What is the difference between the two? Is there any difference, or are they both identical? So the options will be identical in structure and function, difference in functionality, difference in structure, none of the above. Am I audible? Or am I not audible? Someone has to confirm if I'm audible. See, suddenly all of you go mute.
Sir, you're audible.
Yes, then Maraj, you have to answer. What is the difference between two sperms, one taken from
Can you
seminiferous tubule?
repeat the options again?
Yes, the option is structurally and functionally both are identical, different in functionality, that is motility and viability, different in structure, none of the above.
Sir, second one.
Yes, B. So this is where epididymis comes into picture. So write down, it is the site of functional maturity of sperms. Next point, sperms spend around 2 weeks in epididymis. Every sperm after being formed in seminiferous tubule, it's like a training camp for sperms. So now you are good, you are selected, you have all the structures. Now you want to become a marathon runner, hurdle marathon runner. Let me train you for this. So there's a 14-day training camp for sperms in epididymis, where they acquire motility and viability. Okay, where they acquire motility and viability. Viability is simply the ability of the sperms to fertilize an ovum. It has many factors associated in it. Do you understand the 14-day camp?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So they spend 14 days to acquire motility and viability. That is the importance of epididymis. Now let's come to Vas Deferens. Second duct after epididymis is Vas Deferens. Now you have to again think, when sperms are stored in Vas Deferens. So there are two functions that Vas Deferens play. One is it acts as a mediator. It transfers the sperms from epididymis into the ejaculatory duct or the urethra. Okay. And second thing, it keeps the sperm stored if there is no urge of ejaculation in that time. But there is a limit to that storage. It's just like your recycle bin. After how many days, everything that is there in your recycle bin automatically gets deleted? No one uses recycle bin? Come on. Any bin of your, like most of the bins, what time frame do they give you? Sorry?
So we don't.
Sir, there isn't a time frame, sir. It gets stored forever. If you want, you have to delete it manually in the recycle bin.
No, but like most of the bins in the
30
phone.
days.
30 days.
30 days.
Yes, it is 1 month now. Like in most of the, like if it's a Windows where actually in your Windows, if you put things in recycle bin, it goes to C drive. Okay, so it can stay there forever. Like he's right, correct. But bins of, let's say, your Google Drive or something which is on cloud, you know, where you put something in recycle bin, or the trash of your emails, your Google Mail. Anyone has ever checked the trash of their Google Mail? It does not keep accumulating. After 30 days, it gets auto deleted from there. Yes?
Yes.
Someone said 30 days. I just wonder why they chose 30 days as a option. It could have been 2 months, it could have been 15 days, 1 week. Why 30 days? Because Vas Deferens does exactly the same. Now, I don't say that, I'm not saying that the inspiration was taken from here, but Vas Deferens can store sperms for around 30 days. If it is not used after that, then these sperms which are stored in Vas Deferens starts getting degenerated and digested, and again are absorbed back by the wall of the deferens, and all the nutrition is sent back to sperm, just like a raw scrap, to make sperms again. Okay, do you understand? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
And there is a interesting sexual behavior associated with this. When a male reaches puberty, spermatogenesis starts. Okay, it starts like on a boom. Every day you are making millions of sperms. But a human male who have reached puberty may not be using the sperms for the process of reproduction, you know, for years, correct? So what happens is, when the system functions for the first time, it gets so overwhelmed and these sperms are stored. So even if you do not ejaculate it on wish, then there is an involuntary ejaculation that happens in young kids who have reached their puberty just now, and that's called nightfall. It's a very normal physiological process in which basically the system is new, it's making lots of sperms, there are lots and lots of raw material, so even the need to destroy it and absorb it back is not there. So whatever is stored in the vas deferens, it gets, during the sleep, the brain just stimulates a pseudo sexual drive, and everything is thrown out, it's ejaculated out, even without a sexual drive voluntarily or consciously. Is it clear?
Yes.
Yeah. Now write down vas deferens. It transfers the sperm from epididymis to the urethra. First function. It transfers the sperms from epididymis to urethra. Second thing, and one thing which was asked about vas deferens was, how does that transfer? So let me give you an example. Any duct, can you think of any duct in your body apart from vas deferens which has to push something forward? Something is inside it and it has to constantly keep pushing it forward.
Esophagus.
Yes, perfect. And
Large intestine.
intestine in general, both small and large. Yes, right. And how do they do it? In biology, if you have to push anything forward, if a duct has to push anything forward, yes, Mehraj,
Peristaltic
perfect.
movements.
Contraction and
Perfect.
relaxation.
Exactly. They contract and relax and create a wave of muscular movement, which is called peristaltic movement. And the wave works like this, that if there's a tube and there is something here in the tube, if you just contract the area which is just behind that particle, then things will go out forward, right? So it's just like contract the area which is just ahead of that particle and relax the area which is just ahead of the particle and contract the area which is just behind. So you create a push and the particle moves slightly forward. And this is how these movements will keep pushing things forward. Yes. So this is what vas deferens also do. So write down vas deferens undergo peristaltic contractions. I have seen this question where the options were all so bizarre that students always used to choose none of the above, because we have studied peristaltic movement with context of intestines, right, and esophagus, like you said. So if the question comes, which of the following undergoes peristaltic movements? So the option will be vas deferens, arteries, something else very obscure, vein, let's for example, or none of the above. So which one will you choose?
Vas deferens.
Yes. Earlier, if you do not know this, students choose none of the above because they think blood vessels do not do peristaltic movement and vas deferens is in reproductive system. So they know that peristaltic movements are shown by intestines and esophagus. So they choose none of the above, but it is vas deferens. I hope you, when I remember these questions, I tell you, I hope you write it somewhere. Do you do this, all of you?
Yes.
Okay. So, or you can, so what I used to do is I used to make my own codes for my notes. So if I'm making a star, this means that wherever there is a star in my copy, that point is a previous year question, somewhere related to a previous year question. If I make a hash, then it is an important point or something like that. If I make an exclamation marks, it means something. So at the beginning of my notebook, I'll make an inventory where I will write, just like legends, that star means this, hash means this, and exclamation marks means this. It makes it easier for me to do things. You can do that if you want. So it shows peristaltic contractions to push sperms forward. Okay. Now the third is another important cord. It's called spermatic cord or spermatic duct. It's not very well explained in NCERT, but it's very important. Spermatic cord, or they call it spermatic duct. Now, how it is different? It, from the name, it looks like this is a cord or a duct that contains sperms, right? Yes or no?
Yeah.
But that's not true. Okay, it's, if you think that it only contains sperms, it is misleading. So this duct is like a cable. Now, how many of you have seen electrical cables? I'm not talking about wire, the cable. So cables are so if you make a cross section of the cable, you will see, so this is a cable, you will see
There will
that
have multiple wires.
yes, there'll be multiple wires,
colored wires.
yes, serving multiple purposes. So one could be for electricity, other could be for your internet, the telephone, or something like that. But they are all clubbed together and sent as one. It becomes easier. So that way you do not have to stretch 6-7 different wires, instead just one cable that goes. Right? Make sense? So spermatic cord is cord. It's called cord because it has multiple ducts inside. But sometimes books write it as spermatic duct, which is slightly misleading, but not a very abruptly incorrect, but write down. So spermatic cord is a structure that comes out, of the scrotum. So when it comes out of the scrotum, we think it's bringing sperms, but we know that what brings sperms specifically? Vas deferens.
Vas deferens.
This brings sperms specifically out of the testis. Now this cord comes out of the scrotum and it consists of what all things does it have? So if it's a cable, it will have multiple things. Okay, I have to go a little more down here. Just 1 second, people. Let me put this thing down. Let me make some space, basically. Okay, perfect. Now, yes, write down. It consists of, now you just have to think logically. Tell me what all things needs to be transported in and out of the scrotum. First thing, it consists of vas deferens. Yes, clearly sperm needs to come in and out. So it has vas deferens, which carries, also write what it carries. It carries sperms. Second thing, yes, someone was answering. Please answer.
But I was saying Vas Deferens only.
Okay. Apart from that, what do you think needs to go in and out of the scrotum? What is the one?
Testosterone.
Yes, hormones. Perfect. But before that, something more fundamental. What is the one thing that every organ requires a supply of?
Blood.
Blood. So write down, it consists of testicular artery and testicular vein. So it has testicular artery. And what is an artery? This is another concept that,
Which carries oxygenated blood.
no, that's not a very true concept. It will work for your boards, but not if you want to understand biology. Do all arteries carry oxygenated blood? Have you not read of an artery called pulmonary artery in class 11th
That's
breathing
exception.
chapter?
Yes.
That's an exception of an artery which carries deoxygenated blood, right? So, but without exception, what can we call about an artery? How can we define an artery without an exception?
Their blood vessels.
Veins are also blood vessels. I said that let's rule out for one moment that they carry they carry oxygenated blood. But what is one way through which, if we define an artery, it will always hold true for all arteries? Can you think?
Like it carries blood.
It carries blood.
from the heart.
Sorry. Who was Fatima Munir was speaking? Okay, because I could not hear multiple voice. I cannot understand. Yes, Fatima.
Like arteries carry blood from the heart and
Yes, perfect. Arteries always carry blood away from the heart. And that's why all the arteries always have a high blood pressure. Whenever you have to check a blood pressure, you check it from an artery, because veins do not have blood pressure.
Sir, they have thick walls. Arteries have thicker walls than veins.
Yes, perfect. That is also a good criteria. So they always carry blood away from the heart. They have thicker walls than the veins, and they always have higher pressure of the blood inside them. And if they are always carrying blood away from the heart, they are supplying to that organ, right? They are supplying something to that organ. And veins, on the other hand, they carry blood towards the heart all the time, and they do not have pressure in it. So what do they have instead to maintain a steady flow? How is
Valves.
they have valves.
Valves,
Perfect. So you all are connecting with all the systems. Very good. Perfect. So testicular artery, what will this artery bring? Any idea?
Blood
So it
from
will-
the heart.
What will it bring to the testes? One thing, it will bring nutrition, right? Because it's coming from heart. So it will have glucose. It will also have, remember, fructose is secreted and secreted by seminal vesicle. So
Yes.
we do not need to worry about supplying fructose to the sperms. That part is taken care by the testis itself. But we need to give the whole scrotum and the whole testes some nutrition, because other cells in the testes still require glucose. So it brings nutrition, which is like glucose and other factors, vitamins, minerals, etc. And second thing it brings is what Arpit said, hormones. How do you think FSH and LHS that is secreted from the pituitary goes to the testes? Through blood only, right? Through the
Yes, sir.
testicular artery. So write down FSH and LH. Okay. Perfect. Third thing is testicular vein. Now you can just tell me, what does these things take? What are required to be taken outside the testes? For sperms, we have Vas Deferens, Arpit. We cannot send sperms through testicular vein. Come on. If you are putting your sperms in the blood vessels, it's gone. Okay. So what will testicular vein carry from testes? What is required outside the testes?
Waste.
One thing is very obvious, waste. They are also metabolizing. They are also doing respiration. So they'll be waste. But anything useful? Can you think of? The one who will give me this answer will get one chocolate from my side, which you can buy yourself.
What was the question?
What do testicular veins? See, chocolate brings in people. Maharaj, you like chocolate? You're just here for the answer. Okay. What do testicular veins carry outside, which is important? Waste is waste. Like it's
Sir, probably they carry the fluids necessary.
Deoxygenated blood.
what fluid? This is a blood vessel we are talking about. We cannot send fluids through blood vessel. It will dilute the composition of blood. Are you talking about the fluids from the glands?
Sir, probably the blood needed for the
For the
I don't know.
good question. Okay, Zersh is saying deoxygenated blood. Yes, that's true, Zersh. This vein contains deoxygenated blood, but I'm asking something very important that needs to be taken out of the testes or the scrotum. People, you are not thinking enough. Let me just give you one hint. What causes secondary sexual characters to develop in the body?
Testosterone.
How do testosterone reaches the face muscles? Where will the beard and mustache grow? On the face. Where is testosterone being produced? In the Leydig cells of the testes. So how will it cannot WhatsApp from the testes to the cheek muscles that grow beard? It has to come here to function. So how will it come here?
Through
Or how will it go to?
vein.
Through the blood. So there is something very important that also has to be a hormone called testosterone or other androgens that has to come from the testes to other parts of the body, right? Muscles, facial hairs, pubic hairs, and everything that has to develop, bone density, everything that is associated with puberty. Do you understand? Now, can you make logic to
Yes,
this?
sir.
Perfect. Fourth thing that this cord contains is lymphatic vessels. You know what are lymphatic vessels? Again, class 11th. Lymph gland. Lymph. No one knows what is lymph? How?
Yes, sir.
You know lymph? So lymphatic vessels are
Colorless
also.
liquid.
Sorry?
So it's a
What?
colorless liquid.
Yes, it is actually made from blood only. When blood starts leaking out from the veins and it gets deposited in the interstitial fluid, which is also called the tissue fluid or the muscle fluid, where some WBCs and some platelets and the fluid, the plasma of the blood is there, right? So they needs to be taken back into the circulatory system, and that is taken by lymphatic vessels. So every tissue has lymphatic vessels which carry lymph from there to the main system. Anything else that's covered? Oh, yes, very important thing. It also, these cords also consists of cremaster muscles. I have already told you about cremaster muscles.
Yes, sir.
Cremaster muscles are the muscles that join the testes with the body wall, and their contraction and relaxation decides the distance that the testes will ascend or descend from the body wall. You know, many animals apart from humans do not have their testes outside the abdominal wall all the time. So they only descend down the testes during the reproductive period. You know, for organisms, there is something called breeding season. They do not
Yes, sir.
keep producing babies throughout the year, most of them. So they only produce babies and copulate during a favorable environment, which is called the breeding season. So they always say this is the breeding season, be careful around animals, because females get very, very arrogant during the breeding season when they have given birth to babies. A female animal can go to any extent to protect its baby. Okay. Yes, Arpit.
Sir, is it temperature related or something?
It is related to a lot of things. It is related to availability of nutrition. So in jungles, there is a cycle in which you get nutritious food during the springs or some very good season just before the winters. So you can eat a lot, you can have a lot of energy, then you can reproduce. The rest of the time you search for food, you would like to conserve your energy. They are not like humans, no, with bank balance in the account and grain stored in our house, right? So they have their breeding seasons. Even birds have the breeding seasons in which they lay eggs. Every bird will be making nest. You will always see that there will be a season in which all the birds are making nest. And after that, when the eggs hatch and the babies flow out, you will find no nest. in some time. So these animals can ascend back the testes into the abdomen when not required. So during the non-breeding season, they ascend the testes back into the abdomen and store it there. Then when the breeding season comes, they again descend it down and start producing sperms for copulation. So cremaster muscles is also a part of spermatic cord. So these 5 things are present in this cord, but still this cord is known as spermatic cord. Now do you understand why this name is a little misleading?
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, please.
Sir, which organisms which descend or ascend their testes? Sir,
all the seasonal breeders, all the seasonal breeders mammals which have testes, like elephants,
so
I think
sir,
also. Yes.
They have cremaster muscles.
Of course, yes, they have. And I was telling that is more functional because in humans, cremaster muscles can just adjust the distance. In other animals, it can just bring all of it back.
That is what I was asking.
Yes. So you understood now?
Yes.
Yeah, right. I forgot one thing. It also carries nerves. So it carries nerves. We need sensation, right? Like neurons also have to be there in every organ. If blood has to go there, nerves also have to go everywhere. Yes or no? Yes, people?
Yes, sir.
So they have nervous system, part of nervous system. Okay, these are all 6 things that are present in spermatic cord. So remember that it's not only for sperms. Now let's come to ejaculatory duct. That's also, there are 2 things that have been asked about ejaculatory duct. So we'll discuss just that. Ejaculatory duct. All these ducts are given in NCERT, but somewhere in between a paragraph, it's written something about it, but you should know things about these. Write down, it is formed by the union of duct from seminal vesicle, duct from seminal vesicles, and vas deferens. So now these days, like NEET stays within the NCERT, right? So even if there is something in NCERT which is just mentioned, they can ask question on that, but questions do not come from parts or terms or things which are not at all in NCERT. Okay. So the vas deferens thing is in NCERT. So ejaculatory duct is formed as a union of seminal vesicles and vas deferens. And specifically the region of the vas deferens which forms ejaculated duct with seminal vesicle is called ampulla. I'm telling you for one reason. Even if you don't remember this, it is fine. So the ampulla region. Ampulla you will also study in female reproductive tract, and probably in schools, for those who have covered this chapter in schools, or if you are on female tract, your teacher must have told you that ampulla is the most wide region of the fallopian tube. Remember?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So ampulla in females is the site of fertilization.
Yes, sir. The
Ampulla,
isthmic ampulla junction,
yes,
right?
ampulla isthmus junction or isthmic ampulla junction, whatever you call it, it is the site of fertilization. But ampulla is also a part in male system of the vas deferens. So this ampulla is different from that ampulla. The name is same. And this ampulla fuses with seminal vesicle, something just details to, if something like that comes, do not get just, it should not catch you by surprise. Okay. So vas deferens also has an ampulla region, and the similarity between both the ampulla is this. I have both the figures. I'll just show you. Yes. So do you see vas deferens here, everyone? Yes.
Yes.
Sir.
So from where it bends, so the region where vas deferens bends and goes into the seminal vesicle, you see this is the most wider part here. This is ampulla.
Yes.
So ampulla here also is a wider part, the widest part, because it's at the bend. Whatever is at the bend, you know that bends are always wider, right? Bends have to be wider. Okay. For like motor vehicle roads, it's a different reason, but bends are wider in biology also. And the female system also, let me go. I also have that figure with me. Yes. You see, this is the bend in the fallopian tube, which is the widest region. That's called ampulla here also.
Why is it so?
Why is what?
Why is it so?
Why is it so what? So
And
means
why
why is it
like-
named the same, or why is it wide?
Why is it wide?
Why is like slightly difficult to answer. Like I have seen people answering that, you know, because that is the region where multiple of sperms will just move, but you know, that is not the main region.
But
Why?
sir,
Yes.
in females, my explanation
Yes.
is I think because fertilization takes place, that's why it's wide over there.
So you need more space to do fertilization. Yes, I will not discard your reason, because there is no as such defined reason in biology given for why. You know, there are many questions, many whys which we never answer in science, because whys are very, if it is not function oriented, it is difficult to answer, and I cannot just give any answer. So it is very well possible that what she's saying is true or is partially true. It is also very well possible that, you know, bending of sperms, making a turn can be one reason, but none of this is a concrete reason. So if you ask why humans have 2 hands, not 4, then there is no answer to that, right? Humans have 2 hands. Now you can ask, how do they use their hands? How are those hands governed? If you ask why, I can go back to genes and say that our genetics do not allow us to have 4 hands. Then you can ask me, why do certain babies born with disorders have multiple hands, right? There was a baby born in India with 4 hands, like 2 hands, like 4 hands, 4 arms and 2 legs, total 6 appendages. But that is a disorder, genetic disorder. People are often born with multiple fingers, right? That's called polydactyly. So an extra thumb or an extra any other finger, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
They are also born with less fingers, like, which is like 3 or 4 fingers. So the why part can only go back till genetics and say that because this does not allow, that's why. But I don't think why is a very good question to ask in science. Okay, it becomes very philosophical then, according to me.
Sorry, sir.
So no, but it's a good question. Like you can, there are many questions which come in exam. Why is this happening, right? And you write answers, but basically what you are writing is how. If you carefully see the answer, all the answers are how. Genetics does not allow, that's why, you know, but it's again that genetics allow and how does it allow. So yes, so I do not know why it is wide. Okay, Arpit. There are many things I also do not know, but I think that's fine, right? You will be with me.
Yes.
You'll not leave me for not knowing why it's wide.
No, sir.
No, thank you so much. Okay, but good points brought up. So that's why I told you about ampulla. Now write down about ejaculatory duct. Nothing else has been asked. It's a very short duct. It's just around 2 centimeters. So you can just write down that also. It's 2 centimeters in length. It is the shortest duct in the whole male reproductive system. 2 centimeters in length. And this is called ejaculatory duct because from this duct onward, ejaculation. So this is the starting point of the ejaculation. If a sperm has entered ejaculatory duct, it will be ejaculated now. You cannot withhold or send back that sperm to vas deferens or epididymis. That's why it's called ejaculatory duct. Okay. So either sperms don't come into this duct, they stay in vas deferens, or when they come into this ducts, they move out through urethra. That's during ejaculation. And then about urethra, you know, I will not dictate urethra. Urethra, just you can write down. It is the common passage for both male and female. That is the last duct. Okay. There is no important question ever asked about urethra. You already know about it. And yes, it passes through the penis. And that's all. Yeah, it is mostly acidic, but bulbourethral glands make it alkaline. Things like that will be asked. So is it clear, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So male reproductive system is complete. Like it's more than what else is what is required from NCERT's point of view. Everything we have covered and all the questions we have covered. Yes, let me just go up and check if I'm forgetting something. Okay. Cool. So in tomorrow's test, I will just quiz till the male reproductive system, and I will teach you female reproductive system in tomorrow's class. Okay. So we will directly start with I will make a slight change. I will start with oogenesis first. Okay, so this is the plan, because we have already done spermatogenesis and it is an important concept. So I think if you already know spermatogenesis, I will tell you about oogenesis first, the formation of ovum. Then we will go to structures and how is it regulated. Okay.
Okay.
In tomorrow's class. And yes, you have test. So all the best, everyone, and do not worry. I will be there throughout the test. You are allowed to ask doubts, but not answers. I'll be there in that half an hour. And then we will also, before I end the class, we will also discuss the answers and what you wrote and why you wrote that, and what you should have written to get full marks in your school examinations. Okay.
So,
Yes. Yes.
so what's Vasa efferentia?
Vasa efferentia is this thing. Yes, that is also a duct which I have skipped, but because yes, come here. Can you see this? These coiled structures. Is my cursor visible to you?
Yes.
Vasa efferentia is just to transfer the newly formed sperms from the testes. So it forms a junction between testes and epididymis. Okay, this is what I have marked here, Vasa efferentia. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
So rete testis is a network which collects from all the lobules, the newly formed sperms, and then all these newly formed sperms are sent through Vasa efferentia into epididymis. Then from epididymis, they are taken out by Vas Deferens. Okay. So epididymis, Vasa efferentia just has this one role. It does not help in any kind of processing or providing anything to the sperm. It transfers it into the training camp, the epididymis. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anyone has any other doubt? Anything you want to ask me for tomorrow's test?
It is subjective, right?
It is subjective. But you will not have to write a lot. Okay. But I will ask questions that. So for me, if you will just write pinpointed answers, it will work, because I just want to know that you know it. But I will encourage you all to write the best answer that you can, which you will also write in your school examinations or in your boards. Okay, so it will be subjective, completely subjective. Yes,
Have
Fatima.
submit it?
Sorry, Fatima.
Do we have to submit it?
You have to do it, and because you will be doing it in the class only, so I will then discuss that after the class. So you do not have to submit. I will ask everyone what you have written.
Okay.
And I will rely solely on your conscious and your honesty, because no one's video stays on during the class. So you can, if you want, you can cheat, but I don't think like the class like we do, there is any need for that, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So just enjoy tomorrow's test, and through that, yes, Arpit.
How much time will be given?
Half an hour, and it will be maximum for 20 marks.
Okay.
How
20
many
marks.
questions?
Sorry, Fatima, again, come
How
again.
many questions?
Do I have any questions?
No. How many questions?
How many questions? Not more than 10, like 5 to 10. If it is a 2 markers, then 10 2 markers will become 20 marks in half an hour.
Okay.